Welcome to WFN's Extra Time Football Podcast. You can email the show at admin@worldfooty.net or alternatively post a comment on our Facebook page or Twitter feed.
Rumors abounding about Sir Alex Ferguson and the subject of retirement. The Premier League races intensify at the top and bottom of the league. But the Premier League is not the only division with excitement. The English Championship provided unbelievable drama in their various competitions with last-minute heroics and last-gasp winners. We'll also consider the question of the week from listener Connor Smith. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Extra Time Football Podcast. And this show is one that takes on football topics from a supporter's point of view. And this week I have back with us Bex Nolan, and as well as visiting with us from the Special Ones podcast, Andre Sherrard. And before we get into the meat of some of the other topics, I wanted to cover sort of a kind of a breaking news story that's hit the social nets and the news media so far, and that's with the Manchester United manager, Sir Alex Ferguson. And there is a report that he could announce his retirement before the Swansea match this weekend. And I'll stress right now, at the time of this recording, these are unconfirmed rumors. There's no official word on this. It's just something that's in the press and it's on the social nets. But I wanted to get reaction from the panel here and get what you think about if it does go through and what you think might happen, not only with Manchester United, but with figures like Jose Mourinho and David Moyes from Everton, if that will change their destiny, so to speak. So first of all, I wanted to kind of get to Sherrod. What's your thought on that?
I think it's interesting because you never really had a timetable on when Sir Alex was going to leave. You thought he was just going to keep on going until, he dropped. And maybe this is the figuratively drop that's happening. You got to enjoy the rest of your days while you can. And I find it interesting. And it will definitely be interesting to see if Jose, back the eyebrow and says, maybe I should go to Manchester United instead of going to Chelsea, which I was promising for some strange reason or another. But, it'll be interesting to see how the dominoes fall, because it could easily be him. It could easily be David Moyes, because they like stability, and he has been the prince of stability other than Sir Alex himself. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this, Angry. Who do you think would be the best replacement? You mentioned Mourinho, you mentioned Moyes. Who do you think is the better replacement for United?
I think it'd be Moyes, because he can get the best out of players like what United have. Plus, he'll have enough money to get top-name players at that. So I don't think it'll be too much of a problem for him. Mourinho, he'll have to open up the bank, and like United's been in debt, and you don't really want to deal with, a guy wanting to spend, on four guys about $160 million or so.
Right, exactly. What about you, Bex? What are your thoughts on the United and Ferguson's possible announcement of retirement?
I don't think he will announce it during the week. I think that he's a lot more professional than that. It may have leaked, which has led to this, talk of it on social media. But I think that he still wants his players to be focused on ending the season strong. So it wouldn't really surprise me if he announced it kind of on the weekend. But midweek is a little bit shocking. I think it kind of needs to happen, but it's a scary thought at the same time, because there's just who else could possibly take his place and be there for the next 15 years. It's not like United want to go down the whole changing manager every 3 or 4 years. So they've, nothing is ever guaranteed, but they're going to want to replace him with someone that is solid and committed and can kind of deal with the types of players that United have. And not spend all that money. So I think Moyes fits the description better than Mourinho, because he is used to, making average players good and good great, and even when they move on, he somehow finds another way to consistently have his squad perform. So I think that Moyes is a better fit, but I don't know. It's scary to know someone that could possibly continue the success and dominance that United have had for so long.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'll be hard for the next manager. It's always hard for whoever's the successor of a legend, which obviously Sir Alex is, to come in there and be successful, because everybody's going to expect the same excellence.
Right. And it's difficult to fathom who could come in behind him. Anybody that follows a legend. I mean, they dealt with it when Matt Busby stepped down, and less than 3 years later, United were relegated from Division One, and it shows you how difficult it can be with the pressure that comes with taking a top flight club like United forward. And that's the one thing that I wonder about Moyes. I think he's a great manager, but you wonder if there's so much more to United's management position than just the X's and O's.
Right. Well, and Champions League is one of those. I mean, Moyes doesn't have any Champions League experience.
Right. And he doesn't have a lot of experience with a large amount of egos either, or the pressure that comes from the press. Mourinho does.
Yeah.
And so, when you look at it from that, and in Champions League experience, quite a bit of it, he's won it. And so when you look at it from that standpoint, you kind of have to start thinking, well, there are intangibles for both guys, but would Mourinho be a better one just because of the extra stuff that you have to deal with over Moyes? I just don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, he is probably the only one that can handle being the successor of Sir Alex, and he cherishes that. He really wanted that. So I mean,
I think he's got a commitment issue. Like, what's the longest he's been at a club? 5 years.
Right. And that's come up, but a lot of people are saying that he really looks at the United job as his legacy. It could be. Mm-hmm. Whereas Real Madrid, Chelsea, Chelsea had that little spat with Abramovich, which surprises me as to why there's rumors of him going back there, but it seemed to be a done deal. But with this, I'm sure there's a lot of talking going on in the back rooms at Chelsea,
It wouldn't surprise me if Mourinho gets the United job, and I think that the way he's been responding with interviews about, I love Chelsea, I love London, I call it my home, I'd love to go back there. Like, I think it wouldn't surprise me if he just did that stuff to completely throw everyone off.
Yeah, that would be him. I mean, that's a Mourinho move.
I mean, he was in the press conference saying, like, well, I might actually stay at Real Madrid.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure is scaring every Madrid player over there.
Yeah, especially Casillas.
Oh, God.
But I wouldn't put it past Ferguson to have already called Mourinho and say, hey, this is what's going to go down.
I was really, I've been like really skeptical of, like, I think Mourinho wants to do this just to spite Roman and then say, oh, well, I love England. That's what I meant, right?
Yeah.
That's the place where I love. I got clapped before I went to Old Trafford, so I think they love me over there. That's what I meant.
Yeah, exactly. I can't wait for the fallout after that.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, that would be something else. But I tell you what, I think that there's going to be a lot if he does go through with the retirement talk, whenever he does it, whether it's after the season or this weekend, there's going to be a lot of talk about his career, because he was successful even back as a player when he was in Scotland, as a manager in Scotland. He managed the Scottish national team during the World Cup. He was the first manager to break that hole that Rangers and Celtic had in Scotland with Aberdeen. And so he has quite a legacy, and he's been quite an amazing manager throughout, and character throughout it all, whether you love him or hate him. And so that part is tough for me as a United fan to see him go. I mean, I'm not surprised. He talked about he's got hip surgery coming up.
Yeah.
Postseason. It's going to make him miss the beginning of next season, which that's when the thought first came into my head, because he had said that that's when he would start to think about stepping down, as if his health started to fail. And when I heard that, the seed kind of went into my head. So that's why I'm taking this rumor pretty seriously. But when I first started to follow Manchester United, I was living in Sweden, and my roommate, who was a Manchester United fan, I didn't know much about English football at the time, but he was a United fan. I was following the local team there in Malmö, and I became a fan just because of him. And Ferguson had already been there 4 years back in '89, and so I haven't known English football without him. I haven't known Manchester United without him. So this is kind of an emotional thing for me too. But I hope the best for him, because when you get to that age, nothing is guaranteed for you, and he said as much. Yeah, I do worry about anyone who's done something like this for a majority of their life, and then they stop for whatever reason. Do you still have the drive to keep going on and whatnot? But it'll be interesting to see. I mean, we'll see what happens this weekend, and we'll see what happens after the season with United. A lot of stuff's going to change, so it's going to be something to keep an eye on. But in addition to that, let's talk about the past week of matches. We have our teams that we follow. What, Bex, I'll start with you. How did Leeds end up, and were there any other matches that kind of caught your fancy from the weekend? And
Well,
even, as a matter of fact.
I'm happy to say that we sabotaged Watford's automatic promotion hopes. So we won that game 2-1. Watford had a player sent off. I was able to watch it. It was, I guess, commentated by some Italian or Spanish or something. Probably Spanish, not Italian, but it was interesting to watch. You could see all the Watford fans biting their nails the whole time, and it didn't really matter with Leeds. I mean, it mattered to the point where we would jump up a couple of spots in the table, but it wouldn't put us in the playoffs and it wouldn't put us in the relegation zone. It was just a matter of pride and upsetting Watford, who we've been rivals with for many, many years. So that was good to hear. And someone I played soccer with at the Atlanta Beat, Ennio Raluco, her brother plays for Hull. He's Sonny Raluco. So I was excited that Hull got the second automatic promotion spot. So that Cardiff Hull game was a nail biter for me as well. So.
Yeah, and that was the thing that I got from. I was watching both those games. I had them both on the set, and the ebbing and flowing that went on each time a goal was scored, because Watford were in there for a while.
Yeah, they were.
And Hull was looking like they were going to the playoffs. And I tell you what, once McCormick put in that goal in injury time, I believe it was.
Yeah, the counter-attack.
Yeah, that was an amazing thing, because, they were on the edge right there. Watford were of scoring and securing their automatic promotion, but that kind of put the kibosh on it. And, and what's really interesting about that is that with that injury that happened earlier to Watford's goalkeeper, they had 16 minutes of injury time at the end of the first half. And then, of course, that pushed the game later. So Hull had to wait. And, they had the pictures of them waiting, watching the end of the Leeds game in there. And that's just the drama of it all. And that we had talked about that with the championship before, and how it's so exciting all the way down to the end, because there are the playoffs there. They are, the automatic promotion, and everybody's just fighting for those spots right up to the last minute. So that was amazing to watch. But Sherrard, what about you? What got your interest over the weekend? And even, I mean, there was a game today as well.
Yeah, for City, they pretty much clinched the automatic Champions League berth, so it's pretty much just on to the FA Cup and then to the next season and try to find better players. So, yeah, I mean, it was a pretty businessman-like performance against West Brom yesterday, it'll be yesterday when this podcast is recorded. And the game now interests me is Chelsea-Tottenham, because pretty much for that top four spot, if Tottenham wins, we're guaranteed second, which I don't know if that really means too much, but we'll take what we can get. So, that'll probably be good for me. So, yeah, that's pretty much what I got. And I really wasn't able to watch the games on the weekend. City tied, I believe they did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Scoreless.
kind of scanned through it a little bit. It was kind of a drab affair.
Yeah.
You know, City's kind of just like, yeah, let's just get this season over with, or at least let's get to the FA Cup final on Saturday, and then our season can finally be over with.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of teams, well, United, their performance against Chelsea, that was a terrible game.
Yeah.
And when you don't have incentive like that, it can turn into a drab affair. Chelsea had a lot to play for, as they try to secure their spot in third. But that was painful to watch. But I tell you what really interests me was the game today with Swansea and Wigan.
Yes.
And Wigan had a golden opportunity to draw level with Newcastle. And they're also even, believe it or not, on goal difference. And, that would have really put the pressure on Pardue and company up there in the Northeast. But they couldn't do it. And they let in one of the most ridiculous winners from Swansea. Couldn't clear the ball out of their own area. And the guy mishit it, and it just kind of dribbled into the goal.
Wow.
And so Wigan still have a shot. They're 3 points below Newcastle, same number of games and everything, but I don't know. I think that they might have done themselves in with that. It might be a bridge too far now, but like I say, they've been a magician in the last couple of years, so you never say never with those guys.
Yeah, it's gonna be difficult because they got FA Cup. Yeah, they got FA Cup on Saturday. Then they got Arsenal on. Today? I mean, this weekend? I mean, next week? Yeah, on the 14th. And then they have their game against Aston Villa. I don't think they'll be Arsenal, which will make the Aston Villa game, the big game. And if any of those teams with 38 points can't get at least 1 point out of their 2 games, they deserve to be.
Here's my prediction. So it's got Newcastle, QPR. Newcastle's 2 remaining games are QPR and Arsenal. I think Newcastle will beat QPR, but I don't think they'll beat Arsenal. And then Wigan's remaining games is Arsenal and Villa. I don't think Wigan are going to beat Arsenal, but I think that we're going to have a chance of beating Villa. So again, it's going to be complete nail biting.
Yeah.
For those 2 to go down, but I just have a feeling that Newcastle are going to be able to pull maybe a point from the Arsenal game, but I just don't see Wigan being able to do it. So I still, it'll be interesting. It'll be a nail biter, but.
Yeah. I think that they've been able to win today.
Yeah,
or even get a point. I'd have more hope for them, but that Arsenal game I think is going to make it impossible because Newcastle, like Sherrard said, they only need to score a point.
Yeah, they do.
Out of the next 2 games, and I think they can do that.
Yeah, I think Newcastle, if they lose the QPR in the weekend,
they might string Pardue up.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
That would be horrific. But going back a little bit to United game with Chelsea, there is one thing I wanted to ask you about because it was the only interesting thing that happened, which was David Luiz and his giggling as he was rolling around like he had been shot. You guys have a thought about that? Bex, did you even see the highlights of that or see what he did? Yeah.
I saw the game and I saw the lino have a great angle. I'm shocked because didn't he get a straight red, Raphael?
Yeah, straight red.
I think it was a stupid challenge. It was unnecessary. He shouldn't have done it, but he did it, and I think that it was probably a yellow card. It was right under the lino's nose, and she's still she's flagged straight up. That's a foul. That's a red. That's a red. Like, no, it's not. It's a yellow card.
Yeah, I mean, it was a reaction, and did he even make contact with him?
Like, he brushed his shin or side of the ankle or whatever. It could have been a heck of a lot worse. I think that it was an unfortunate mistake by her because she's done so well this season with running the line. But, and the grin on David Luiz's face when it happened, like, ugh.
And, some reports are that she did ask for a yellow, but the ref went ahead with a straight red after getting the discussion. But I don't know. That's just what I've heard on the social nets, which is totally unreliable. But what about you, Sherrod? You shared a picture on Twitter with this guy smiling.
Yeah, I mean, hey, if he can get away with, if he could get away with it,
Yeah,
it's up to the refs to make the decision. And if
yeah,
the FA wants to step in, which I don't know if they can in this situation, then I won't say anything about it. But he got away with getting a red card. He probably more laughing at the referee than getting his countrymen a red. But stuff happens. I've done it before, and I've had that same type of grin. So I mean, I won't go up here and be a hypocrite and say David Luiz is a bad guy
right.
because people do it, and if the ref just can't see it, then it's kind of on him. But I know they have a hard job to do also.
Well, you saw my statement about the whole thing, and I'm very disappointed in the referee. I don't care about Luiz. I mean, if I was David Luiz and I knew I could get away with that, I would laugh too because it's
Yeah,
ridiculous. I'm
yeah,
not even sure the referee saw what happened, but he just saw Luiz rolling around,
Yeah.
and to make a decision like that, it to me just shows that there's a problem with what referees have to do, and I think it has to do with the mandate these guys are given. About raised foots and retaliation strikes like that and everything. It deserves some type of, because of the intent, you probably say at least a yellow on that, but a red, I don't know. I think the problem is with refereeing, but that aside, it couldn't erase how truly terrible that game was. And I think that's the problem with a team like United who kind of have everything that they need right now and need to play it out. And some people were kind of complaining about his team selection, but I say put in some of those young guys because I think they'll fight more because they have more to prove, and just go for it. What do RVP and these other guys have to play for right now? So I don't know. We'll see. They got a game against Swansea this weekend. Neither team have anything to play for at this point,
nope.
And so both teams throw your reserves out there and let them
No, I think
play a friendly.
United still have something to play for in the aspect of winning at home and being able to lift the trophy after a win and not lifting the trophy after a loss.
Yeah, well, I mean, there is that. I mean, but I think you're going to get more out of maybe a fringe player who has a little bit more to prove.
You can
And
kind of mix them around. You don't have to trot out a whole reserve side.
no,
You
no,
can bring in some players who need. You could bring in some players that need the game. Then you can rest players like Ferdinand, who's pretty much played a whole year surprisingly. But you can give those guys a little rest, and maybe have a Rooney or Van Persie to play, and have some of these guys who need obviously going to need the games. So
yeah, people like who I'd like to see out there are people like Anderson and Cleverly in the middle. Uh, Guys who haven't gotten a lot of games who need it, and Chicharito. You know, they're quality players. These guys are internationals, and I think they need these games. But it's hard to ask for that from some of the other players, and I just think you'll get a better performance out of some of the fringe players. But like you say, maybe mix it in with some of the more frontline guys. Your Rooney's and stuff. Rooney will play anytime. But I don't know. It's football. I do want to see them do well. I want to see them finish out strong, United. And so we'll see what happens with this weekend. Well, any thoughts on the scrap that is for some of those teams that do have something to play for, more to play for, the European places? Any idea about who's going to fill in those final specs?
The top four teams, mostly as it stands, but not really in any particular order, with Chelsea and Arsenal. But I think it's going to be Man United, City, Chelsea, Arsenal.
Okay. What about Europa League? Wait a minute,
Woo!
there's 2 games left. There's only
It's Tottenham and Everton, isn't it? It's because Liverpool, that draw killed them.
yeah, 5 points is
Yeah, it's too
yeah,
much.
yeah. Tottenham have to lose both of their games, and Everton have to win both of their games.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, Tottenham, Everton.
Yeah. Okay. What about you, Sherrod?
I have no clue. You never know what's going to happen with any of these three teams. You know, Chelsea still has basically two tournaments to play for. You'll never know what you're going to get out of Arsenal and Tottenham. If I had to just guess it, Chelsea will take this game, probably get third place, and Arsenal will just carry on and get the fourth place.
Yeah.
But I am not convinced at all.
Yeah, I think Chelsea is going to get the third place, and they do have a game in hand too,
Mm-hmm.
which we have to remember. I think that Arsenal need to really be worried about dropping down to Europa League if they don't perform the way they need to, because they're only 2 points ahead of Spurs, and Spurs has a game in hand.
Mm-hmm.
And so they really need to finish strong and hope Spurs drops points. So that to me is going to be the competition to watch for between Arsenal and Spurs. And there's such big rivals to each other too. There's going to be a lot of emotion with it, and I can't wait to see what Hooligan and company think about these games.
Yeah, that Chelsea win on Sunday was huge for them. They needed that more than United needed
Oh
to
yeah,
just trot out there. So
yeah, it was just unfortunate. United couldn't perform a little bit better, because even a draw would have helped Arsenal's case.
Yeah.
But it has thrown a monkey wrench into that either Champions League or Europa League spot. But at least they're going to be in Europe. So
I have a question for you guys.
yeah,
Let's just say, it'd probably be better for an Arsenal fan, but let's just say Arsenal kind of drops down and gets that in his own fifth spot.
Mm.
Do you think they want to actually be in the Europa League? I know they probably don't have a choice, but a team always striving for Champions League, isn't that a competition that they don't really want to be in, especially when there's 3 competitions in England, plus you add in the one that let's be honest, I don't know if Arsene Wenger is going to be that interested in it.
what do you think, Bex?
It's actually a really good point. It wouldn't surprise me if they fielded the youngsters to give them experience and really, really focus on the domestic titles as far as the Premiership and FA Cup go, and even the League Cup.
Yeah,
It would make sense.
I think it depends. Do they want Europa League? No. Would they rather have it than nothing at all? Sure. And right now, I think they're looking for any type of trophy they can get. A lot depends on the use of the squad and what they can do. But when I look at Arsenal's season, I think it's pretty amazing losing RVP and bleeding in some of these new signings, how well they've done, because they are in a Champions League spot. And a lot of people didn't even think they'd be playing in Europe, and Wenger got a lot of grief throughout the season, but the teams performed, and I think beyond my own expectations of what I thought they were going to do. But I think they're in good shape for next season, wherever they play, and I think that Wenger and the squad, if he can keep it together and add a few more pieces, I think they're going to go places. I really do.
Gotcha.
So my 2 cents. Well, I wanted to kind of, there is a question of the week that kind of encompasses the last part. We're going to get into some of the matches that are you're looking forward to on the weekend in the Prem. But in the championship, of course, we finished the season, but there's still the playoffs. And Connor Smith has given us the question of the week, and is who will win the championship playoffs? And so first, I'm going to start with you, Angry, because I know that you don't follow the championship as closely as maybe Bex and I. But do you have a thought on it? Because the teams in the championship playoffs are Leicester's playing Watford, and Watford, of course, is the team that just missed automatic promotion. And then, of course, Crystal Palace against Brighton. And so, do you have a thought on who might be able to get back into that Premiership League?
I think I think it will be Crystal Palace versus Leicester in the championship final,
Wow.
and I think Crystal Palace will win it. I think Watford. I think that this, just barely losing it out to Leeds is going to affect them in a way that, it's going to drop their morale and they're going to go out and not play as well as they should. So I think Leicester's going to take care of that. And Crystal Palace and Brighton, I'm not going to lie, I don't know much about it except for Zaha that's going to United.
Yeah.
But other than that, I think Crystal Palace will win that, just as an educated guess, and I'll go for them in the final.
All right. What about you, Bex?
I'm going for Watford Palace final,
Okay.
but I think that with Watford's experience in this situation, pretty much every year that they're not in the Premier League, they're in a playoff spot.
Right.
So they've got the experience, that the fans have the experience, the fans have the belief. I think if they can get past Leicester, I think they're going to win it. Obviously their keeper situation is a little bit scary, but I think with a full squad and a focused mind, I'll be shocked to see if Watford don't get it. But at the same time, it would be good to see Palace up there, but they'll be losing Zaha. So,
Right.
what are they going to do with their top scorer, or, one of their top players? So, but I'm going Watford.
Okay. And isn't Almunia Watford's first choice keeper right now? Aluminum? Because I know that he didn't play in the last game. I forget why. I don't know if he was injured or.
Yeah, I don't know if it was a suspension or an injury, but yeah, their first keeper wasn't there.
Yeah, and I'm wondering, are they going to, because the third choice keeper is the one that finished up the game and let in that late goal.
Yeah.
But I don't know if he's going to be the one that's going to have to shoulder the responsibilities again throughout the playoffs.
I think at this point, whatever the injury, unless it's completely season ending, they're going to put the strongest keeper in.
Yeah.
I think at this point, it's if you've got a dodgy quad or hamstring or groin, or you freaking tape it up, you get the cortisone shots, we do whatever we need to do to get you in that game, because that guy, yeah, and I said it on Twitter, he's a professional goalkeeper, he chose the sport, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
He doesn't have the experience, and he certainly doesn't have the playoff experience.
Yeah, what I noticed about him, he didn't have a command of his area. And, it's up to the guys in front of him to shield him. But if he's going to start, whether he starts or not, if Almunia is able to come in there and play, I think that they're going to have a problem with a keeper that's not 100%. And I think that might be the one intangible that could hurt them, even against Leicester. And so I don't know. Leicester just did make it in there. They pipped Bolton on I think goal difference.
Yeah, it was. It was like a goal.
Yeah. And so
those are the most dangerous teams, though. Just getting in it, had nothing to lose.
Nothing to lose.
2-goal difference.
Yeah, exactly. And so they have nothing to lose. They might come out and just go after Watford. But I'm gonna pull Crystal Palace too. I know I'm not giving anything to Brighton. I just don't know that much about Brighton. They finished in fourth.
Yeah.
And did well. And I don't know why I'm not considering that, but I think because I just see, they're gonna lose Zaha, but they still got him for the rest of the playoffs, and that could be the difference. But I think I'm gonna go on a limb and also pick Crystal Palace for the reasons I said, but it'll be interesting to kind of see how that unfolds. We'll learn a lot after the first leg
Yeah.
of games.
The two Drays curse Crystal Palace.
There you go.
All right.
Easy to remember when we have to pay up. But anyway, what any other games coming up, perhaps in the Premiership or otherwise, that you're looking forward to? I know we got tomorrow, Spurs and Chelsea.
Yeah, just the FA Cup final. That's pretty much. that's pretty much the end of the season for me. I'll obviously watch the relegation fight and the fight for fourth intently, but it's really FA Cup and then my squad over Spain. But we're not talking about that.
Yeah. Hey, no, they had a pretty good victory last week, though.
Yes, they did, and
they played Osasuna.
Yeah, Sociedad dropped points, so that's good for us.
There you go. You had a good weekend. What about you, Bex? Any other games that you find interesting and looking forward to?
No, just tomorrow's game, Chelsea Tottenham. Can't really see anything else.
Yeah.
Getting too excited about.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the stuff's already decided. That is the game I'm really interested in because whatever happens with Spurs is going to affect what happens with Arsenal and Wigan. Believe it or not. I mean, if Arsenal smell blood, you know, that could be a difference if Spurs is able to do something there. But man, it's tough for Arsenal because either one of these clubs winning is damaging to what they're trying to do.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's more damaging if Tottenham win it.
Yeah.
Because that could bump them into the Europa, and if Chelsea win it, it gives Arsenal a little bit of breathing space because they'll be tied up on games played, but they're still in a European
qualification. Yeah. So that's the one thing I'm looking forward to. But yeah, all the other ones that it'll be, you know, it's always nice to go to the pub and watch a game, but I think all the big things are decided right now. But that is kind of the wrap for the week. And like I say, we're waiting for the announcement or no announcement from Alex Ferguson, either this week or after the season. That's going to mean so much for United in the off season, whatever he decides to do. So, but I want to thank you both for joining me this week and talking a little football. And hopefully you guys will have a good weekend, and we'll talk to you again next weekend.
Thanks for having us.
The Extra Time podcast is brought to you by Images Frozen in Time Photography, your full-service photography agency. Also, make sure you check out the Special Ones podcast featuring Andre Sherrard and his crew as they talk on a wide range of world football topics. Thank you for listening this week, and we'll talk to you again next week.